Hi guys, today I'm going to be bringing you a Spartan DEKA mile simulation. Now before we get into any of that, I'm just going to explain real quick why I'm bringing you this simulation. I have signed up to my very first Spartan DEKA event and it's in 8 days time. So before I go to that, all sort of green and new to it all, I thought I would run a simulation in my gym. Now I've done this with Hyrox events and other such things in my gym, so it made sense to sort of run through the exercises and process just to know roughly where I'm at. It's always really useful to know roughly where your time is at, where your bottlenecks are at, where your wheels fall off, how hard things are, where to preserve yourself. What is a Spartan DEKA, you ask? Okay, so it is a 10 exercise event. It's against the clock. Between each of these exercises, there is a run. There are 3 different flavors of this particular event: the strong, the mile, and the fit. The strong has no running whatsoever between the 10 exercises. Mile has 160 meters between each of the exercises and it equals 1 mile by the end. And the fit has 500 meters between each exercise and equals 5k at the end. These are held at Spartan affiliated gyms and they appear sort of on the calendar ad hoc each year. So this simulation, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to try and ring fence all of this equipment. I can already tell it is going to be a little bit harder than say doing a Hyrox simulation because there are 10 different stations. I can't guarantee that I'm going to have access to all 10 bits of kit throughout the entire simulation. I also know that this simulation will be a lot quicker than say a Hyrox simulation. It's probably going to be less than half the amount of time. So it is very frantic, very quick, and I suspect it's going to get the heart rate absolutely exploding. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to jump in the car and we're going to go down and we're going to just lay this all out and we're going to set our watches, set the cameras going, and you guys can have a little see how it goes. Okay, this is the part of the video where I pick up the simulation footage. So in this, we're just going to narrate over the top, add a little bit of a sort of analysis, or pick apart what's going on. Some parts are fast forwarded, obviously it goes on for a little bit of time. So like always, I always like to keep it tracked on my watch, more for my heart rate and time, more than anything. And we are off. Note that there is a clock in the top left-hand corner. That time is relative to my simulation. The parts where I speed it up, you'll note that that also speeds up. So this is the only run that I'm going to let play out completely. You'll notice that I'm doing it on an assault treadmill. It's only 160 meters, remember, so you're not on it for that long. I was finding that my runs, each of them was about 40 seconds, so literally sub a minute every single time. After I jump off this treadmill, I then had to sort of hightail it to the other corner of the gym. So I've cut that bit out. So we're up to 1 minute already. These are the RAM reverse lunges. These are normally done with those rubberized tubes that Spartan like to use, but I've had to use one of our sack weight things that we normally do lunges with. I don't like doing reverse lunges. They feel a bit weird, like they unbalance you a little bit. So I'm done with that. Now remember, I'm having to carry the camera around and mount it each time, so I'm losing time doing that as I run backwards and forwards across the gym. And we are back onto our second run. So I'll fast forward this one. Once again, it's 160 meters. I have to sort of spin up the treadmill. In fast forward mode, I'm not on it for very long at all. And now we're on to exercise 2, which is a 500 meter row. And this feels quite a long exercise when you're actually on it and doing it. It just feels like it goes on for a long period of time. But it's actually not too bad. And I think I was sort of 1:45 per 500, and we're up to just gone 5 minutes total. I don't need to sort of strap myself in for these. I just normally just stick the feet in and go. And back for the next 160 meter run. I was trying to position the cameras in different positions so you didn't think I just reused the same footage. And that's it. That's the next one of those done. And on to the next thing. So it is the station 3 is the box step overs. Now I've seen videos of people doing this and they really keep their hips low to the box, and as they pass over the box they're almost in a squat. It didn't come natural to me, and toward the end it was starting to feel a bit laboured. There's 20 repetitions over 24-inch height. So that's sort of the height. The box obviously can be oriented in a number of ways to sort of increase or decrease the height. So back to the run now. Again, another 160 meters. If you look in the background, you can see Holly is also doing the same sim as me, but we're just slightly offset so we don't clash on the equipment that we're using. Okay, so that run is now done, and I'm off to the med ball sit-ups. So the med balls are 25 repetitions with a 20-pound ball, and you have to touch it between your legs and above your head. I think in competition I've seen them do a variation of this where they throw it up and catch it and do it that way, but I've also seen them do it this way, so I chose to do it this way since I didn't have anything to throw it against. Okay, so that's done, and back to the treadmill. Another 160 meters here. Now it's already apparent by this point that your heart rate is high. It's about 150, 155, pushing 160 plus it starts to get toward the top end of where I want to be. So exercise 5, and it's a 500 meter ski erg. I'm very familiar with the ski erg because of High Rocks, so I just sort of powered through this. Again, about 145 to 150 per 500. I might go harder on the day, but that's what I chose to do on here. I'm not trying not to be super frantic. It's a busy gym. I can't be careering around trying to save every second. I will save that sort of mentality for the day. So back over to the next 160 meter run. It was at this point that I realized that the 2 treadmills were being used. So I immediately converted what I was doing into a shuttle run. There were 11 meters roughly up and down this AstroTurf, so I did 15 lengths or thereabouts, I think. It did seem to take a little bit longer doing it this way because you're obviously turning around at each end. So yeah, you just have to adapt when that happens. So exercise 6 is the farmer's carry. Again, very familiar with this because of High Rocks. And what have we got in each hand there? 60 pound in each hand. I think that's the 24 kilo kettlebell. So there is 100 meters of that, so it's 10 runs of this particular AstroTurf, just clipping off the end. And back now to the 160 meter run. We are on 17 minutes, approaching 18 minutes. I think my camera was about to fall onto the treadmill. I was trying to avoid that. You'll note that I've got a Team XND vest on. They are my current sponsors that provide me with supplements and stuff. Okay, exercise 7, it's the assault bike. Now these are horrible things. They seem to get you taxed really quickly. It's 25 calories on this, and boy do they seem to go slow. And before the end I start to sort of run out of steam a little bit. It looks like I'm going super quick and fast forward though, so let's pretend I'm doing it that fast. As you can see, the gym has become quite a busy place. When we started this simulation, it was literally 2 people, but in the time we were doing it, in that half an hour, maybe 12 people were in there, so I had to start to be a little bit more considerate as I sort of powered my way around the gym. So back onto the next 160 meter run now, and we're sort of coming towards the last quarter of the simulation. And that's that 160 meter run done, and now we're going over to the dead ball wall over or shoulder over. Now we don't have a medicine ball that is the right weight, so I've found that the next thing that is closest in our gym, which is this sausage sandbag thing. So yeah, over your shoulder. I think in the event you actually throw it over a bar or a yoke or something like that, but I did it with just sort of over the shoulder. I kept having a bit of a malfunction with my watch. Every single time I threw it over, it sort of undid the strap just because I was holding this sandbag. Right, and that's done, so guess what? Another 160 meter run. Now after the dead balls, there is the tanks. Now the tanks they use actually on the day are these big things with wheels on. They're like sleds, but with wheels, and magnetically resistance sort of to help increase weight. Sometimes you can add extra sort of disc plates and stuff, but I have a standard Bison sled, which I have to sort of emulate the tanks. So So I'm giving this push, and it is 5 pushes and 5 pulls. Yeah, so that's 100 meters of doing this stuff. And this is another one of those that I felt that was disproportionately long. You just felt like you was on this one exercise for ages. So I push it down that way, and then I use the TRX to pull it back. It's a little bit difficult to gauge what weight to put on the sled to emulate the tank sensation. I won't know until I push one at a competition. I can normally get a good feel to sort of how to compensate with the weights in sort of simulations versus competition. So yeah, I was by about go 4 on this, I was gassing. So this is the last one now. Yeah, I've gone long on. When I've gone long on, that's normally when I'm struggling a little bit. Okay, so that one's done. On to now the last 160 meter run. I'm picking up the camera and we're going. So you can see I've got quite a shine on there, and that is because I am now at about maximum heart rate for most of these exercises. The tank is an extremely taxing piece of equipment. I'm thankful that this is the last run. I'm looking at myself, and I'm obviously a little bit slow. You can see the sweat dripping off my nose. So yeah, last 160 meters, and we're just ticked over 30 minutes. So there we go, another 40 seconds on top of that, and we are done, and we're spooling down. And the last exercise, zone 10, are the weighted burpees. Once again, like in competition, they would use these rams. Again, I don't have one of these rams, so we use the sort of sack with the handles on it. This is one from Audi, I believe, center aisle job. So yeah. So what you have to do is you have to get your chest to the ram on the ground and then put it over your head. I've seen people in competition that only just hold it over their head, they don't straight arm it. And that's me done. 32 minutes, 49 seconds.
Good. Okay. Good. Good. A lot of hard work in half an hour, that's for sure. 2 weeks until I do this for real. Sub 33 minutes. Give or take. Had to improvise a little bit. We don't have one of them rams, so we're using a sack bag. We don't have a heavy enough ball, so we use a sandbag. And at one point the treadmill was being used, so I just ran.
Okay, so that was my simulation done. I've done it in about 33 minutes. It's not record-breaking time. I know that. I was just taking everything with a bit of a pinch of salt. There were lots of things that I could have done better. For a start, I was messing around with my camera quite a bit, trying to sort of clip it to things and make sure it was pointing in the general direction of the exercise. I was also having to check the sheet because I'm not familiar with the running order just yet. So I was having to check the sheet, what was next. Every now and again, there was a bit of equipment that we'd laid out that had been jumped on by somebody else. When you've got so many exercises, you can't necessarily ring fence all of it. You just have to be quite considerate in a gym environment that if someone jumps on the bit of equipment that's later in your running order, that when you get to it, that you just have to adapt. That might mean doing something slightly different or nearly the same. Either way, when someone was on the runners, the 2 assault runners that we were using for this particular simulation, I just converted that into shuttle runs. A quick math in the head, did 15 laps, equates to about 160 meters. All right, so the exercises, the bits that sort of stood off the page, the bits that seemed to take too long, the ergs, the ski in the row, they seem to go on longer than, say, the other exercises did. It felt like you were just on them disproportionately long period of time. Similar, it's for the push and the pull. Obviously, we had to use a sled, not a tank, because we don't have a tank, but they're roughly the same kind of thing. It just felt like I was grinding those sleds for ages. It's essentially 100 meters of pushing and pulling. So yes, it takes a little bit of time. And finishing on the burpees, well, that's just mean and evil. everybody hates burpees, right? Because they're shit. But the overall thing, it felt like quite fast. It felt like it was over quite quickly. But while you're doing it, it feels quite frantic. You're sort of darting over here and then you're darting over there. When I do this in the event, I do hope it's a little bit more fluid. So you just sort of work your way through the series of events. I don't know if the runs I'll be doing on the day will be real runs or if they'll be on assault treadmills. I just don't know yet. I'm very much looking forward to doing it. I'll be doing it at Caveman Training over in Stoke. There will be obviously a video all about that in due course. So give the channel a like and subscribe. Well, I don't think there's anything more to say. So thank you for watching. I'll see you soon, guys. All right, Mart out.